closer there. I'm just going to move this chair out of the frame. Okay, yeah. Okay, ready? Okay, good afternoon, members of the media. Thank you very much for coming to our Sunday afternoon media conference. We are just 1 week away from Carnival Sunday, but in spite of all of the carnival activities and festivities that are taking place around the country and the mood of the country, obviously many people focusing on Carnival, there are still very important issues that we have to face and address and confront. And so the MSJ this afternoon wants to look at some very specific problems. As you may know, the 20th of February, just a few days ago, was the International Day for Social Justice, United Nations World Day of Social Justice. And I thought that we would begin the media conference by just quoting from what the ILO says with respect to this issue. The 2019 theme for World Social Justice Day was, if you want peace and development, work for social justice. Social justice is an underlying principle for peaceful and prosperous coexistence within and among nations. The ILO estimates that currently about 2 billion people live in fragile and conflict-affected situations, of whom more than 400 million are aged 15 to 29. This is critical. Job creation, better quality jobs, and better access to jobs for the bottom 40% have the potential to increase incomes and contribute to more cohesive and equitable societies, and thus are important to prevent violent conflicts and to address post-conflict challenges. So, the issue of job creation, better quality jobs, and better access to jobs for the lowest 40% of the income earning population, or those at the bottom 40% of the society in terms of their income and wealth, are essential if we want to have peace and development. In this context, we need to address the headlines of the last week or so. So I go to the Newsday of Wednesday, the 20th of February, and incidentally, this is on World Social Justice Day. So what do we have published on World Social Justice Day in the Newsday? TSTT CEO paid $180,000 a month. Now, that was his basic salary. On top of that basic salary, he got a housing allowance of $15,000, an entertainment allowance of $5,000, a company-maintained car, and medical coverage. So he essentially was getting $200,000 a month plus a company car, and he probably had some other perks in between there, like a cell phone that was paid for, etc., etc. So we were in Wallerfield, Angelo Hart, who is head of our youth arm, and myself, in a cottage meeting on Wednesday evening, World Social Justice Day. And when I spoke about this, there was a lady who said that what it would take her 9 years to earn, this CEO, Mr. Walcott, got in 1 month. That is the inequality in Trinidad and Tobago. That is the injustice that is taking place. And of course, they talk about the Vice President of Human Resources and so on, who received $105,000 a month, $7,000 housing, $3,000 entertainment, company-maintained car, and so on. So she was getting $115,000 plus. In the context of TSTT, in December, sending home more than 550 people. So 550 people are today without a job, having worked at TSTT, while Walcott gets $200,000 a month. Carol David gets $115,000 a month. That is wrong. That is unjust, and that is totally contrary to the principles of social justice, which the preamble to the Constitution of Trinidad and Tobago refers to explicitly, because as a country, we have affirmed our belief in the principles of social justice. And then we have from The Guardian we are equal opportunity quotations from newspapers today. So The Guardian of yesterday, the 23rd of February, Flavorite employees in a bind. So this now is a private sector company, Flavorite Foods Limited, which has been producing ice cream in this country for many decades, high quality ice cream under different brands, not only the Flavorite brand, but international brands as well. And the workers there have not been paid for 3.5 months. Now, I don't know that Mr. Andre Montai has been without an income for 3.5 months. Remember, he was part of the Clico and CL Financial debacle. So, workers working, going to work, not getting paid for 3.5 months. Injustice in Trinidad and Tobago. We are also aware of the fact that, or information that has come to us, that Lake Asphalt is about to engage in a massive retrenchment exercise, partly as a result, perhaps, of the fact that with the closure of the Petrotrin refinery, there is no bitumen being produced in Trinidad, and therefore a key component for the road paving and so on of mixing the pitch with the bitumen is missing, and therefore they have to import bitumen, which is more expensive and puts pressure on foreign exchange. So Lake Asphalt is, we understand, about to engage in a major retrenchment exercise, affecting, once again, the southwestern peninsula of Trinidad. And we also understand that there are many contractors who supply important services, or who used to, or still maybe supplying services, in particular to what used to be the Trinma operations of Petrotrin, like boat services and other services, are no longer having contracts with former Petrotrin, now Heritage, and are about to retrench hundreds of workers as well. So, massive retrenchment. The central bank, in the Express of yesterday, the 23rd of February, says that the economy is facing external risks, but not only external risks, but also internal risks. So I'm quoting now from the Express report, quoting the central bank's quarterly economic report. The central bank said, overall, a durable recovery outside of the energy sector is yet to take hold. And they refer to the fact that the construction sector is estimated to have declined by 6.4% in the third quarter of 2018. There's minimal growth in retail sales of 0.4%. Output in manufacturing declined by 0.2%. There was a decline as well in transport, storage, and communications by 1.6%, and so on. And there was marginal increase in food, drinks, and tobacco by 3.6%. So overall, there was no real growth in the economy in the latter part of 2018, and the forecast for 2019 is equally gloomy, because we are well aware that oil production has fallen very significantly since the closure of Petrotrin at the end of November. And the central bank also reported, though the newspaper has not yet picked it up, but the central bank has also indicated that the country's debt has increased because of borrowings to deal with the Petrotrin closure, which is what we warned the country would happen. So the country's debt to GDP ratio has increased, and all of the negative implications which the government said it was trying to avoid by closing Petrotrin, all of the negative things have in fact happened by the closure, and not because the company was operating. Because they had to borrow in order to pay workers severance pay, to pay the deficit to the pension plan, and so on and so on. So, we want to say that, first of all, the government of Keith Rowley has failed to manage the economy properly, as reported by the central bank. So they have failed to manage the economy properly. Jobs have been lost, and more jobs are going to be lost. Unemployment is rising. There are fewer decent jobs in the economy. And what you find happening is that a few private firms like Amalgamated that has gotten the contracts for security in what used to be Petrotrin and so on. So the traditional elite, private sector elite, is getting more at the expense of workers. So inequality is rising in this country, and injustice is rising, and therefore we are moving absolutely away from the principles of social justice. And we want to say very clearly that the inequality in this country, the injustice in this country, not only is it wrong, but while people could finally can hardly get money to put food on the table tomorrow morning, one man is getting $200,000 a month, which translates into many millions of dollars a year. $2.4 million a year is what his income is. $2.4 million a year compared to some people who can barely find money to put food on the table. And this is what is at the root of the problems in Trinidad and Tobago. The Rowley government, the Prasad Bissessa government before it, is creating and has created a society of injustice, of inequality, of a few at the top, 1%ers or 5%ers, who are fabulously wealthy, in some cases obscenely wealthy, while others are being sent home without any money, without an income, who are desperate in terms of survival. And that injustice can only be corrected when we get people in government who are committed to social justice. And the only people who are committed to social justice in Trinidad and Tobago is the MSJ as a political party. And that is what we want to focus on at this press conference today. Negative impact of Petrotrin closure, increased debt, more job losses are to come, and the inequality and injustice as evidenced by the newspaper reports and the facts of the last few days, totally contrary to the principles of social justice as recognized by the World Day of Social Justice. That's our statement. It's fairly short and tight today because obviously it's Carnival and we just wanted to focus on this one thing in the context of what is going on today. And we express our solidarity with all of the workers who are struggling to survive, who have lost their jobs, who are struggling to survive, and so on, including media workers, who haven't gotten increases in pay for a long time, I'm sure. Any questions on that? Or, of course, we are open to questions on any other issues as well. Yes? Yes? No, I don't. And the Minister of Finance talked about seeing blue skies and so on. But the only blue skies I see at this time of year is because we're supposed to be in the dry season, though we're getting some rain these days, and so on. But this is what the central bank said, that a durable recovery outside of the energy sector is yet to take hold. And they quoted the data. Construction is down. Retail sales are flat. Manufacturing is down or flat, and so on and so on. Transport, storage, communication is down. The energy sector may have gone up a bit because of increase in gas with Juniper, but that's not going to increase anymore. Oil production is down. The price of oil and gas is lower than with that which was budgeted by the Minister of Finance when he read his budget statement when it was the beginning of October last year. So, disagree, and the Rowley government has failed to do anything about diversification. The tourism situation in Tobago is dire. The Tobago Hotel Association a few days ago made a statement saying that domestic tourism to Tobago has been in significant decline. Bookings for the Easter period is down, and so on. And that is because the government messed up the ferry service and the sea bridge. So Tobago is suffering. South Trinidad is suffering. All of working people are suffering. People haven't had wage increases since, in some cases, 2011, 2014. Prices have gone up, and so people have no extra money to be able to buy goods and services, and that therefore means that there is no economic activity as a result of consumer activity. So no, the economy is in trouble, and we badly managed. The policies of the government have been austerity to put the pressure on the backs of workers. So Mr. Walcott is okay with his $200,000 a month, but the workers who went home, the 500 and something workers who went home, they are not okay. That is austerity. That is wrong. That is injustice. That is breeding inequality. And so the policies of this government and the past one are wrong, and we oppose them. Those policies of austerity are simply putting pressure on the backs of the average person in this country, while the elite are prospering and benefiting and living life nice. That's wrong. Yeah? Okay, thank you very much.